August 29, 1756, the Prussians invade Saxony, starting the 7 Years' War. Frederick and Prince Henry lead an army of around 60 to 70,000 troops to capture Dresden. To Frederick's surprise, a 30,000 strong Saxon force tries to halt its advance at the River Elbe, but the Saxons, heavily outnumbered, are defeated and much of their army is captured. This victory leaves Dresden easily within reach. Frederick leaves Prince Henry with around 40,000 troops to besiege the Saxon capital, while he makes a push into Bohemia. Frederick's plan is to lead a three-pronged attack supported by Schwerin and Bevern in the east and push towards Prague, overall trying to knock out a major city by the end of the 1756 campaigning season. Opposing him are two armies commanded by the capable Browne and the not so capable Sebolini. In late September, Browne pushes north with his 32,000 troops to find a defensive position to halt Frederick's invasion into Bohemia. They meet on September the 25th around the town of Telpitz for the first major battle of the 7 Years' War. Browne has set up his forces centred around the town of Telpitz, with his lead division occupying the town and the surrounding area, supported by some heavy guns to the left and to the rear on top of the high ground. His second division is acting as a reserve to the rear of Telpitz, also on the high ground. His third infantry division is occupying the river crossing on the far west of the Austrian position, also supported by a battery of 6-pounders. He also has two cavalry divisions under his command, one of which is hidden behind the high ground in the centre, and the second is on the far east of the Austrian line. Browne has also positioned a brigade of around 3,000 Pandours in the woods in the centre, who are currently unspotted to the Prussian army. Frederick has deployed the bulk of his force in the centre of the battlefield, with a single infantry and cavalry division to the west. His plan is simple: pin the Austrian centre and have Trezeguet swing round from the west and encircle the Austrian force. From Browne's elevated position in the centre of the battlefield, he can clearly see the Prussian army deployed in two lines, about a mile and a half away from the town of Telpitz. He immediately sends an order to Lacy to prepare his division for the inevitable Prussian onslaught. The battle opens at around 6 AM with a fierce artillery bombardment on both sides. This signals the start of the Prussian attack. The Prussians reach Telpitz at around 6:30 and a fierce musketry duel erupts in and around the town. After about an hour of repeated attacks, the Austrians fall back, unable to hold the Prussian advance. The Prussians redeploy in the town, ready for any Austrian counterattack. Browne, understanding the importance of controlling Telpitz, immediately orders Peroni's division to recapture it. Finally, after some early delays, the Prussian cavalry begin to move against their Austrian counterparts. At around 8 AM, the two cavalry lines meet in a huge cavalry duel of around 7,000 horsemen. In Telpitz, Peroni's attack succeeds in pushing the Prussians out of the town, but both sides have sustained heavy losses from the fierce, close-range fighting. To the west, Frederick sends an order to Trezeguet to begin his attack on the Austrian left. On the eastern side of the battlefield, the Prussian cavalry managed to gain a small advantage against their Austrian counterparts, breaking multiple squadrons and forcing them to fall back to regroup. In the centre, Peroni reforms his division to defend Telpitz for the inevitable Prussian counter. At around 10 AM, the second Prussian attack begins. Two infantry divisions move towards Telpitz, also supported by a brigade of dragoons, which smash into two Austrian battalions to the east of the town and score an almost unheard of feat of completely breaking an Austrian infantry square. The fighting continues as the Prussians slowly wear down the Austrian defenders. But the second Prussian division runs into some problems, as the Austrian panels in the woods reveal themselves, delaying around 10 Prussian battalions from joining the assault on Telpitz. But even without this support, the Prussians managed to take most of the town, but not without cost. After around an hour of repeated attacks, the few Austrian squares flee back to the high ground with heavy losses. Peroni attempts to recapture the town, but fails in his force to fall back. Around the same time, the Prussian attack to the west begins, as a fierce musketry duel opens up around the riverside town. But after an Austrian battalion is sent fleeing in all directions after a devastating close-range volley from a Grenadier battalion, Colorot decides to pull his division back from the defensive position to reform. Brown, seeing this questionable decision on his left, his two weakened divisions in the centre, and now his exposed right, elects to order an army-wide retreat, not wanting to risk potentially losing his whole army. The battle at Telpitz is over. Austrian casualties stand at just under 3,500 in comparison to the Prussians' 3,000, resulting in a minor Prussian victory as Frederick holds the field at the end of the day. But overall, Brown has delayed Frederick's push into Bohemia, leaving Frederick still in need of a decisive victory over the Austrians if he wants to capture Prague before the end of 1756. Thank you for watching this AAR, guys. A big shout out to Little Wars TV for starting this challenge. I hope to continue doing these videos and hopefully improve them as time goes on. If you guys have any questions about rules and such, or any suggestions for improvements, please just let me know in the comments.